What's up, guys? It's me, JellyKnees. Let's talk about the weather and day and night cycle that's in Ethereal, which means we were right once again. But let's show you the video first, and then we'll jump into everything that it means. So, what do you guys think about the weather video that went out with the blog post? Because actually incredible. One, it's the first video we've had of the map itself, and the map looks great. And then the weather on top of it, the effects were like pristine, like they just hit just right. And I love the whole thing. It's just incredible. And so I just want to go over the blog post and what it talks about and things like that. So hit subscribe. Let's get into it. So the blog post talks about the weather changes, day and night cycle, and rare events that are going to happen in Ethereal. So the day and night cycle is going to be fairly simple. There's going to be a set amount of time for each one, but it's going to be day, dusk, night, and dawn as the 4 times of day. And then, so on top of that, there's going to be weather changes. So the weather changes are, I think, going to be the really interesting difference between regular day-night cycle and other MOBAs and weather, because they're going to have some kind of effect on the map, a slower move speed or something like that. There's going to be some kind of change to how the myths go around the map and interact with the map throughout the whole thing. So the 5 different types of weather that we have for sure are sunny, rainy, snowy, heat wave, and windy. My guess sunny is just going to be, I assume, the normal just look of the map. Rainy is going to be kind of overcast, raining. Obviously, I mean, that's pretty obvious. We kind of saw a teaser of that in the video. The snowy one, being bright white everywhere. My concern with the snow is it seemed like it impacted performance just slightly. So hopefully that's just an early version of it, and that it's not as performance taxing in the final version of the game. Or in the pre-alpha version, I should say. The heat wave, I don't think we really got a chance to see, but I imagine it's going to kind of give that like mirage effect in the distance, and it's going to be hard to see, and things might dry out on the map. Some of the vegetation might dry out, or the river might become slightly smaller, or things like that. And then windy seems like a weird one, and maybe that's just going to be a visual. You'll see wind blow through the trees or have noise or something like that. That's going to kind of make you change a little bit of how you play the game. And those are going to be relatively small changes. The rare events, on the other hand, are going to be much bigger changes to the map. Things that they're going to have interactive instances during the rare event. We didn't get any information about what those instances were going to be, but because it's going to be so rare that it happens, having like unique things that go on throughout that rare event are going to be really interesting. In my mind, I kind of think of Heroes of the Storm and their kind of events that happen throughout the game. It's going to be like that, but they're going to be very rare. They said that you might play games where you don't have any rare events, or you might play a game where you have 2 that happen. It's not going to be consistent. There's not going to be a guaranteed rare event at 20 minutes or anything like that. It's more so going to be truly random, so that game to game, you don't know what you're going into for the weather or the rare events themselves. The time of day will be relatively the same throughout all games, but the other 2 will change drastically. So I'm really curious to see what all that entails for the weather and rare event system. So I covered this blog post on stream the second it went out. So if you guys are covering the blog posts as they come out, come join me on YouTube or Twitch, and we will go over them together. We've got several people in the community that come over every week for the blog post to do that. So we kind of went over the rare events and what we thought they might be in terms of what they could do or cause or things like that. So this first rare event we kind of thought was going to be a solar eclipse. We've got this moon-esque image moving over the top of the sun. I mean, fairly straightforward there, and going to see that that's a option that turns the map dark, and you're gonna have to rely on the torches. And maybe it's darker than just the regular nighttime cycle, because there's no light at all. It's truly blocking out the light. So you're gonna have to rely on just torches, and it's truly pitch black in the places where torches aren't. The second one was a little harder for us to guess, and we kind of narrowed it down to two options. The first being a blue moon, but typically blue moons are full moons, so we're not sure that this shape really correlates to that. The other thing we saw is that it could be a super moon, as a rare event, because those are really the two rare events that happen with a moon that aren't consistent with other things involved, or like something else we're going to talk about in a second. The third option we narrowed down to two options as well, is that this is either going to be some kind of acid rain, or it's going to be a blood moon. I personally lean more so toward the blood moon, because if it was going to be rain, I imagine we'd see something more like the cloud symbol, or like this symbol over here, and the raindrops be green or something if it's acid rain. Whereas this is semi-consistent with the moon images that we get here and here, and with the like two dots instead it's two drops. So I'm thinking it's probably more so the blood moon. Now this option over here, we're going to see we believe that it's going to be a lunar eclipse. So we have the solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, super moon, blue moon, and acid rain or blood moon as the first four. Then we have kind of like a super heat wave. We really couldn't narrow down what to call this, but because it's got the same almost identical shape as the heat wave with just the thermometer more filled in, we imagine that it's going to be something like even more effective of heat on the map, that you can't see as far, or you travel slower, or you need water in order to move around, or things like that, truly drying everything out on the map. And the last one we couldn't narrow down at all. I mean, we snowstorm, sleet, hail, thunderstorm. There were plenty of options. So really this one's just we think it's going to be some kind of storm in general. Not that there was any specific information given toward that end. So with the rare events and the weather changes and day and night cycle, they did mention some of the effects that they're going to have on the game. They didn't get into too many specifics, but they mentioned that items will actually have different stats, or rather some items will have different stats or increased stats depending on the time of day that they're being used in, which I think is a really cool idea that hasn't been tapped into in the other MOBA genres, in that having it be something, instead of it being just one myth gets stronger at night and one myth gets stronger during the day, you make it that it's something that all myths can have access to, but by using the item system to do so. So that if you want to build this item that is better at night, then anyone on your team can build the item that's better at night, instead of restricting it down to one person, which I think is a great solution to that issue. I guess I don't want to call it an issue, but that kind of weird feeling that I only get this bonus if I play this person, and instead make it a unique experience for everybody, that, oh, it's nighttime, I'm extra strong now. Like, I think that's a really cool feeling to capture in the game. The other thing that they mentioned is the myths themselves being changed in some way, less so during weather or day and night just by itself, but rather in the rare events. So that if you're playing a myth that is, let's say a werewolf, that during the supermoon, they get extra strong or extra fast or something like that. That's a cool thing that makes them just slightly better. They said it's going to be strong, but not oppressive at the same time. So there's definitely going to be a balance there, like everything else in Ethereal. But the idea that you could have some myths interact with rare events, and how that's going to play into the game is really, really cool. And I can't wait to see, like, you could one trick that werewolf myth and never see the supermoon for 10 games, and then on your 11th game, boom, supermoon. And that, like, just gives you a whole new excitement to play that myth, even though you've been playing them for 10 games. I think it's such a cool idea, and I'm really happy to see that in Ethereal. But guys, I want to hear your thoughts on the weather, day and night, rare event systems. what you think the rare events could be, if you think there's something else that we didn't consider, or myth ideas of how things could react with eclipses or supermoons or blood moons or heat waves or something like that. I would love to hear all your thoughts down in the comments below. But guys, please make sure to get subscribed. I appreciate you all for watching to the end. And if you want to get more videos, right over here, we'll have a playlist for you of all the ethereal content that I've made so far. And on the other side, we'll have a video recommended just for you by YouTube. Then when you see my icon, go ahead and click that, get subscribed again, and I'll see you guys in the next one.